Welcome into the Landon Tangwall live call-in show. We are downtown State College on a snowy, bitter, cold day, and we are brought to you by the Student Bookstore, downtown State College, where you should get all your Penn State merch needs, and you can also get 20% off your entire order at the Student Bookstore. Use code NOPAYWALL at checkout, 20% off the entire order. I've already heard a ton of you guys have been using that, so I appreciate you. We have Penn State's schedule. Before we get into that, I want to talk about a couple other guys. I think Ohio State got it pretty rough, you want me to be honest. Hockey this weekend, it was pretty cool. I had Guy Gadowski on yesterday. It was on the Tangwall Film Network YouTube channel on my live stream. We were at the Student Bookstore. So if you want to check that out after this, that was pretty fun. We had a good old time. And then we also had a hockey film study from this Wisconsin, Penn State. If you don't follow it, we do film studies over on the Tangwall Film Network. Penn State knocked off Wisconsin road sweep. So we're chugging along. Micah Parsons was there. He broke Thor's hammer in the locker room. They hand out Thor's hammer to whoever the star player is, and Micah took it and just broke it, and just taking down quarterbacks and Thor's hammer. So this weekend, obviously, you got Friday night, 6 p.m. We got hockey, and then of course the big one. Everybody's coming to town. They're saying 65,000 plus is going to be in Beaver Stadium for the outdoor game, and definitely bundle up because my gosh, it's going to get cold. What do we got going on in the chat? Who do we have winning the Super Bowl? Okay, we're already there. By the way, Guy Gadowski, he told me, if you watch it, but Guy Gadowski, he told me that Micah Parsons wanted to go to the hockey game in Wisconsin because Micah's obviously on the Packers now, so he lives there, and so he texted James Franklin. Micah did, and then James texted Guy Gadowski, and so that's how they. So James Franklin still hooking people up. Look at that. All right, let's talk about this Penn State schedule. Let's put it up. Penn State might have the easiest schedule in the Big Ten from what I saw. I think there were some other fairly easy ones, but I mean, you get away without. I mean, we've known that you get away without playing. Oregon, Ohio State, Indiana. I get that. So you do get USC at home, which we're going to talk about in a second. I think that'll be the whiteout. And then you go straight to at Michigan. And so that's the tough part. And honestly, where we sit right now, we don't know if either of those are going to be necessarily very good teams. I think they will. We're going to see Bryce Underwood in year 2. Is he worth whatever they paid him, $12 million over a couple of years? Is he worth that? Jaden Mayava, USC's quarterback, can he come into Happy Valley? That is probably going to be the whiteout and knock off Penn State. So, I mean, Matt Campbell, there's a couple good games that started out, but I don't know if it gets much easier than this. You start out with Marshall. By the way, at Temple, how about that? We're going to Temple. When was the last time we did that? Was that when they sacked us 10 times? It's a rough one. Shout out Hack, bro. Love you, man. That's a toughie. I think outside of that, though, you get through Michigan, you have a bye week, and then it's just smooth sailing. I mean, you got to go at Washington. At Washington is known to be a tough one. I don't know. I like where Penn State's at right now. We're going to go to the phone lines. We will take a caller. What is your name? Where are you calling from?
Austin from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Hello?
Didn't plug in my mic, guys. Sorry about that. Or my headphones. Sorry, can I get that one more time?
Yeah, it's Austin from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
What's up, Austin? How you living, brother? What's your question?
I really just wanted to know what are your thoughts on the Washington game on the schedule. I feel like that's probably going to be one of our tougher road games, but just kind of wanted to get your thoughts and input on that game specifically.
Yeah. I mean, I know. Yeah. So you asked specifically that game. I think you find out a lot who you are week 6 and week 7 with USC and Michigan. But yeah, I think that's kind of the final test to make sure if you do win or only drop one of those games between USC and Michigan, it's kind of hey, you win that one. I mean, it's. I don't want to sit here in his first year and put this on Matt Campbell, but I told you guys already. We went from Kalani Sitake when that went down. It was here we go, 5 wins. We are sitting here, not even 6 weeks, 8 weeks later, maybe, and it's already 11-1, maybe. That's where we're at. I don't know. It's just such a favorable schedule. Like I said, you don't even know how good USC and Michigan are going to be. But I mean, that Washington team. So you keep Williams at quarterback. I guess they were someone I thought was kind of underrated all last year. I had Jake Butt on, and we had a conversation about that of how Washington was kind of continued to be passed over to put in the top 25. But I think they're going to be a talented bunch. So it's definitely a test to go out there for Matt Campbell. That is your first cross country where you got to see, okay, I'm sure it's going to be a big story. What is Matt Campbell? Is he a Dan Lanning where you go out the night before and you get in at 9 p.m. and you try to just not even stay in the time zone long enough to get adjusted? Or is he closer to the James Franklin side? Hopefully not. That goes, 2 days in advance and you give yourself time and you want to do a ton of walkthroughs and kind of figure all that out. So we're gonna find out all about that with the Washington game. So I'm sure travel will be a big one. We'll put the Penn State schedule back up on the screen for you guys so you can just continue to see it. Opening up at home, by the way, with Wisconsin at Big Ten play. I feel like we never open up at home. Cornwall, always got to read Cornwall's chats first. Landon, are you nervous that Matt Campbell is lactose intolerant since 1938? No coaches won a natty. Listen, I don't know. We'll have to ask him about that sometime. That's all right. Dude, I actually stopped. You guys had asked Sarah. I stopped. I'm only doing like hard cheeses right now. The dairy's a real problem. So now we're gonna get bagged on too. But we're trying to flatten out here. We got a wedding coming up in the spring. Let's go to the phone lines. What is your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Landon. This is Laura from Greenville, Tennessee.
How you doing? Laura? Doing well.
Haven't
How are
heard
you?
in a while. Hope you are staying warm out there.
Doing well. We are.
Yeah, I'm liking the schedule very well. I think it's a good introduction for Matt Campbell to kind of ease on in. What I'm really excited about? We have 2 home games in October. We haven't had that in over 3 years. We've always had a month before. And I also noticed we only have 1 bye. Is that new this year?
Yeah, so that varies from year to year. It just kind of depends. For a while, I think like 2019, I remember us having 2 byes for the first time in a while, and then we've had that a bunch of different times. Just did not shape out that way this year. But I think the bye's at a good time. I'd probably rather have the bye in between USC and Michigan, but I like that. I mean, you got a young team, and you're probably coming into that one. You're gonna have fun at Marshall, Handle, Temple, Buffalo. I mean, it's a little bit better than this past year. Let's put it that way. It's a little bit more exciting. We're not going to be watching, I don't even know what film did I dig up. It was some crazy film for FIU. It was Bethune-Cookman, and we were breaking down that game against Bethune-Cookman. We won't have to do that this time. But I think you're looking pretty favorable going into that USC game. I'm liking it. And so it's like, hey, we're going to get a test. We're going to get a little test of, all right, we're going to see how you perform in a whiteout where everything is, USC's coming cross country. It's basically Oregon probably all over again. But I don't know if it'll be at night, and that is something I wanted to talk about. So, I mean, you had the USC game. So Fox gets 3, basically their first picks to completely protect the games that they want for Fox Big Noon before other teams can start to pick up some games. And you look at USC Penn State, and I'm thinking that there's probably at least 3 other games, especially because Indiana is now, the darlings of college football, especially the Big Ten. So I think they're going to get one. So, I mean, you look, Ohio State, Michigan is absolutely one that Fox is going to claim right off the bat. I think Ohio State, Indiana, you get a rematch of the Big Ten championship. You're absolutely taking that. And then I think Oregon and Ohio State is probably being taken as well, if you want me to be honest, because I think they're taking those. I don't know. We got an opportunity. NBC, come call and help us out. Don't do Peacock, though. I don't want – imagine the whiteout on Peacock. Oh, my God. Everybody across the state of PA, it'd be riots. It'd be over. So, yeah, I mean, look, it's hard. I get people are talking about in the chat. It's hard to sit here and look at this schedule, and I know what we have. We still have a lot of question marks. By the way, producer Jesse of the Josh Pate College Football Show, we had him on. That'll be out tomorrow. We previewed the entire offensive depth chart. We both watched a film on everybody, so we talk about the defense that's coming out tomorrow. I do think it's going to be a little bit different this year. I think we're going to rely a little bit more on our offense, which it hasn't been that way since, at least, I guess, 2018, 2017? Do we say 2019 is a more explosive offense than defense probably? I mean, Mike was on that, but it's been a while. It's been a little while. We've been very defensive-minded and just been used to, hey, we have a top 25 defense. I think we're going to be a little bit more on the offense this year, and hopefully Rocco Becht can show up. But how can you call in? Someone says, well, just pick up the phone right here, and then you just dial in that number, 814-400-4188, and we'll pick up your call. We got a caller. What is your name? Where are you calling from?
Austin.
What's up, Austin? What's your question, my man?
I was just wondering, what do you think about Michigan next year, how they're going to shape up, especially since we play them next year, with the new coach? How do you think that's going to shape up next year?
Yeah, I'm curious to see how Dylan. I don't know how he's going to do out there. I mean, it's definitely an adjustment. And look, I think I'd say almost I feel like we're in a better place, and they were a lot further behind. And you're obviously dealing with a lot of turmoil, and there is a lot of just for Michigan. Like I feel like there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that are going on that you're dealing with, and so that's tough. And I think they do have one of the more tough schedules. Honestly, it's very similar to Ohio State. So you're playing some heavy hitters, and so I think that's kind of where Michigan finds themselves, where they're playing a lot of good opponents. So I think you go into that one, and that's obviously after USC, so it depends on how that pans out. But I think you're feeling pretty good about yourselves going to that Michigan game, and it also just depends on Bryce Underwood and kind of his development. And when Dillingham came in, he said he basically exposed the fact that he didn't have a quarterback coach. Like Underwood didn't have like a true quarterback coach. So welcome into how players just get misused and just not developed. So I don't know. That's going to be. I'm curious to see. Michigan's going to be kind of one of those wild cards, but I think I don't see them being like a playoff contender just because they're scheduled. They just kind of run through a gauntlet, and I think that's a little difficult for them because you get Oklahoma. Oh, there's the schedule. There we go. Thanks, producer Steve. You get Oklahoma, and you get it at home, and that was one that Venables really made Underwood struggle in that one. I remember watching the full tape, and I did a film breakdown of Bryce Underwood from that game on my channel, and I thought he struggled a lot. But, I mean, yeah, you get Indiana, you get Oregon, you get Ohio State, Penn State, Iowa. Whenever you get the Iowa added on top, it's always a little difficult. And if we go to the Ohio State schedule, it's just as bad. But I think it's actually worse. You look at this away schedule for Ohio State, at Texas, at Iowa, at Indiana, at USC, at Nebraska. That's crazy. And then obviously you got Oregon, you got Michigan. Whew, that's a toughie, man. And you get Indiana bye week, but you get Indiana, USC, and Oregon all in a row for Ohio State. I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, you get a bye week separating that, but I mean, Ohio State and Michigan both have some tough schedules. You got a lot of games on there, and I like respect to Ohio State for scheduling that home with Texas. And Texas is kind of reloaded. I think they've been the guys that have spent maybe the most money in. I almost said free agency. I should just say free agency. Yeah, we'll just go with that. Transfer portal, free agency, the same thing. It seems like they're the team that's going to be hey, we're spending $35 million plus this year because they went out and got some weapons. So a test early on once again for Ohio State. I think it was cool to watch last year. I'm excited they're doing it again. But Penn State, let me know in the chat for Penn State prediction. What is your floor and what is your ceiling for Penn State? Because I think a lot of people are inclined to look at this and say ceiling, which also could be the thing that you should get to, is 11-1, 10-2. And what if I'm curious your guys' take the floor. If we're looking at the floor, let me know in the chat. I think Matt Campbell is going to build a really great foundation here, and that's what it seems like from talking to everybody, especially players that return that have been here and now they're and you kind of have to trust and wait and see. Okay, what is this culture actually about? And guys are really excited. Guys are definitely feeling what Matt Campbell is bringing. And so I think that's important, but I think there's going to be a nice foundation built, and there's not going to be cracks in that foundation. And that's what you kind of saw at Penn State. That's what you saw at Michigan. It happens, but you just got to get the right guy for the job. So we're getting floor is 9 wins. Dang. Remember Kalani Sitake? Like right after that one? I think we were on here. Booch and I were on here. We were talking everybody down from 5-win season. It was like, I'm just gonna go to Beaver Stadium and just be depressed from here on out. And here we are. Floor is 9 wins apparently. It's impressive, guys. I'll tell you what. I do think, like I said, let's not forget how much of a rebuild that this still was, because it's a little more normalized now. It still doesn't make it any easier. Well, the rules actually do make it easier. But like the idea of having to rebuild a roster and kind of just a culture, like it's going to take a lot. So I think Matt Campbell's the guy to do it. This was the right choice from the beginning. But you got a lot going into this, and I'm going to get into this tomorrow with Jesse when you guys watch the video. But I'm curious about this defense and how it's going to come together. I think D'Anton Lynn is a really, really high-level defensive coordinator, and you also bring back a guy that is a Penn State letterman, knows the tradition, knows the area. I think Matt Campbell did a good job, too, of understanding who to keep on staff and kept the right letterman, and some guys had to wanted to go their separate ways. But the biggest thing I've seen from Matt Campbell and Derek Hoosier, the GM, it seems like they're setting firm prices for guys. And if you don't like it, it's not, oh, all right, we'll throw another $100K your way. I've known you since 8th grade. Let's make sure you stay here. It's hit the road, Jack. Have a great one. And so I personally like that. I think you need that. That's how you have to run college athletics. So I think we're doing a good job. And like I said, the foundation that Matt Campbell is setting is this is how college football is run now. We got a caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Nick from Philly.
What's up, Nick? What's your question, brother?
So there's a bit of a hot take, maybe. So Lincoln Riley is a genuinely great recruiter, but isn't necessarily what I would call a great coach. And all due respect, neither are Jed Fish or year one Cal Whittingham. And I love some of our hires. D'Anton Lynn mainly. I like Noah Pauley and Mauser, albeit all three have something to prove here. But am I insane for thinking Penn State has a better coaching staff than all of their opponents this year?
That's an interesting one. Yeah, I don't think that's – I don't think that's insane to say. Who stacks up to that? Yeah, I don't think – Whittingham, I don't know. Lincoln Riley's really struggled. He's had some bad seasons. I don't think that's ridiculous to say. I don't think that's – you got to play the Stephen A. Smith. I don't think that's ridiculous to say. I think, like I said, we're going to learn early on how this team is built, and you're going to get some tough games. And like I said, hopefully this USC thing is a whiteout at night. I don't know. Honestly, looking at the schedule right now, if we put up the Penn State schedule, I don't know where else we'd go. I guess it'd be Wisconsin. If like somehow you can't get USC at night, if we need to try to get Wisconsin at night, I guess you do that. That's not very exciting. That takes me back to like Minnesota, Iowa whiteouts that were just blowouts and they're just kind of boring. I hope. But that's just how it feels. I'm still stuck in the look. We're in 10-2 days again, guys. We're back. I told you. I said it was going to be August. It didn't take that long. We're sitting here. It's still January, and we're already 10-2, 11-1. Here we go. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, we get to play PJ Fleck. How long are they going to let PJ Fleck just sit up at Minnesota? And I get it's different for other schools. You get some success here or there, and it's exciting, so you keep that coach around. I don't know. I wouldn't like PJ Fleck being the coach of my squad, but I don't know. Maybe it's just irritation over the year from the Penn State games that have just that just burned us a little bit. I'll tell you what. Oh, chat. Pumpkin pie or apple pie? Probably apple pie, but I need a scoop of vanilla ice cream, warm too. Don't bring a bowl of apple pie, to the table if it's not warmed up. And you can substitute whipped cream for vanilla ice cream, but I digress. One note that I did want to tell you guys, Tangwall Film Network, expect kind of all that to be, that's going to be all things Penn State, including hockey, and we're going to continue to expand and do kind of more coverage on Tangwall Film Network. But that's going to be all things Penn State. We're still going to do a ton of Penn State here on the Landon Tangwall Show, but you will notice some other college football stuff, especially this offseason coming out. So my plan is to continue to grow this. I want this to be the biggest college football channel that there is, and Tangwall Film Network was created and, obviously kind of took over for the bloggy to create a place where we're always going to have Penn State content for you guys that we are creating and continuing to develop some new talent. So what are we thinking on Donko this year? I'm excited for Donko. Right tackle. I don't think he's a guard. I knew from day one that he wasn't a huge fan of playing guard, and I also didn't like him in tight spaces because he did when he came in right away. He was left guard behind me. Actually, he was like third string left guard, and that's what Donko played. And it always looked like too compact. Like it was like when he was like bunched up in a 3-point. I don't know. I didn't like it. I'm like, that guy needs to be a tackle. And you saw him excel right away in the Peach Bowl when Caden Wallace went out in the second quarter. And I think he was had his lapses this year, but I knew from the beginning it was one of those things. You put him at right guard because Nolan Rucci was playing at such a high level throughout the playoffs last year. So it was like, how can we not put Nolan Rucci there? And then who else are we going to put at right guard? And Donko seemed to kind of win the battle there with Cooper Cousins. And now you expect him to bump out, be your right tackle. And I like, since I made that video on the offensive line where I kind of went through the depth chart and I said, I'm slightly worried about this offensive line. I like where we're at. I think Riker is going to be the starting center, by the way. Look, he is a little undersized, and really it's just weight. You can put more weight on, just give him 10 more pounds. He's not going to be someone that's going to maul people out of the way, but he's the center that you're looking for in terms of he's going to make sure everybody's on the same page. He's going to make sure there's help where there needs to be help. He's always looking to, especially in like pass pro, of like, oh, who can I go hit? And he just strikes me as a really high IQ center. So I think that's important to get. He was at Texas State, but there's also a reason why he was I believe, second-team freshman All-American. So a lot of talent there. He's one of my favorite tapes that I've watched of any transfer player coming in. So I think he looks good there. Trevor Burr, by the way, at left guard, that's going to be a dude. I think he is really, really talented. Always wants to finish guys. Anytime you got that, you got an aggressive offensive line. That's how you establish yourself. That's how you run the football. So I think really the biggest question is just left tackle of who's going to emerge there. Can Malachi Goodman come out and be a guy? Are you going to develop one of these younger offensive tackles? So I think that's the biggest thing you're looking at if you're Ryan Clinton. You got to figure out who your left tackle is. But I think Cooper Cousins slots in at right guard and Anthony Donk at right tackle. And Cooper Cousins, look, in a year that is a little bit of a prove it, where we have been kind of waiting and played every single game. His true freshman year is extremely talented, but it was like, all right, let's see you become kind of that star offensive lineman. I think this is the year for Cooper Cousins to do that. He's the face of Penn State, and it all works out just so perfectly. So I'm excited to see Cooper Cousins on the rise. Cornwall, talking about Lane Kiffin. Best road win in the Big Ten was Nebraska when Dylan Raiola got hurt. He struggles on the road. Think we are set up for a 10-2 year. I don't know where Lane Kiffin come from, but I don't know. Down there at LSU, I didn't see LSU's schedule yet. We'll see. All I know is I think they're going back to Ole Miss. That's going to be absolutely hilarious. I'll tell you, Lane Kiffin, you either hate him or you love him. I think his Twitter's hilarious, and he just posts the most weird, mysterious photos with women that are probably in college, and that's what he does, and he's just a troll on Twitter, and I think it's good. It's funny because he can only do that. It's like if another coach did that, I don't think it would work, but because it's Lane Kiffin, it works for him. I'll tell you what. We're going to talk about it tomorrow. My biggest question kind of on this Penn State defense, just kind of talking about them as a whole real quick of just how this season's shaping up. Defensive tackle is definitely going to be a question. It's all new guys, and we have transitioned from the idea of, hey, we're going to have these smaller guys. We went out and got big bodies, everybody 315 and above of the three main guys that we went out to get at defensive tackle. But I guess the biggest question is, does bigger body equal better player? And I think, when you have a bigger body, you can ask them to take on those double teams better. But I look at that. I look at defensive end where it's unproven. It's a lot of raw talent, but it's definitely unproven. I think Granville was someone that looked like he was maybe even going to be able to be a starter last year. Tears up his knee. He's coming back, and he's had a lot of time to heal up because it did happen in early summer. So I think that is exciting of what he brings to the table. You get Kamaju, and then you bring in my guy, and we're definitely going to get him on the channel at some point, Alex McPherson from Colorado, true freshman out of IMG, and came on the scene. And look, you'll look at his stats. If you guys look up his stats, it's like, it's not that impressive. I think he's got like half a sack. His tape, he is all over the place. Him as a pass rusher, especially on third down, man, look out, because I'm excited for what he brings to the table. But overall, that defensive line, it's going to be a little bit of a question. And so you're going to get some tests. I think USC is going to sling the ball around. We know that. So we're going to see, can you rush the passer truly in that one? Michigan, they're going to come out as much as they got Underwood. If Dillingham's doing the same thing Michigan's done for a while, they're probably going to run the football. And so you get a test there. Can those big boys up front handle that? Look at linebacker. And it's, okay, who's going to play next to Tony Rojas? Which I will say, by the way, Tony Rojas, I think people kind of forget how well he was playing at the really through that Oregon game right before he got injured, and he came off a year where he was supposed to pop into that superstardom and just be the guy, and he didn't do it in 2024. And he was playing with a shoulder, and it was that was why his missed tackle rate was up to, I think, 22%, because he didn't really have full control of one of his shoulders. And he came back, that missed tackle rate was down to like 8%. He was on track for almost double the amount of TFLs he had last year if he were to have played 16 games this year. And so I think you get that guy back. Now the biggest question is, when do you get Tony Rojas back? When is he going to be clear? Because I think Tony Rojas is the key to this defense in the sense of he gets injured, like knock on wood, you cannot afford that. Not this year, because you got Bacon and Abel. Those are the two linebackers that you bring over from Iowa State, and you're probably going to play a 4-2-5. And you don't want both of those guys in. I mean, we're looking at 2 6'4" linebackers. They love size over there, by the way, at Iowa State. Matt Campbell loves him some size. So you got 2 6'4" linebackers. And look, I think like there's good things about Bacon. I think he'll probably be the starter next to Rojas. But you don't want to get in a world where you got two of these guys out there at once. So I think that's generally why you're going to see a 4-2-5. We're going to continue down that trek. It'll basically be year 3 of consistently running a 4-2-5. And then I think at times, kind of how you saw it last year, if you're going against an Iowa, you pop into that 4-3. It took us a while to figure out to put Keon Wiley on the field to stop the run game. What do we got in here? I'm just seeing controversy. What? Huh. Oh, Cornwall. What is the vibe with the current players with this new staff? Anything you can share that we might not know? I'm trying to think. No, I mean, look, everybody I've talked to is very excited. There is a sense of not to do the, it's way, way better now, and that's, everything was bad before. But, like, I think we got a lot of people saying that, this feels different. This feels like it's being run really smooth. And it's like Matt Campbell knows what he's doing, and he's putting guys in place like Derek Hoosier and I think that's a big thing. Like, not having money conversations with the guy that's coaching you is pretty important for that not to happen. Like, that needs to be, and that's something that he has completely entrusted Derek Hoosier and his staff, that you guys are going to handle this, and we'll go from there, and I'm just going to be your coach. And I think that's great. So I just think overall the relationships, and look, I mean, it's going to take time. We're sitting here, we've been through like a couple winter workouts or something. So we'll see, and we'll get reports through spring ball, and we'll continue to have guys on, and we'll talk to them. But I think you look at it at its core, at its base. I've talked to a ton of people around Iowa State. There's not a single person has a bad word to say about Matt Campbell and his staff of he didn't do this or he didn't do that. Like, everything is positive. And so that's what leads me to be so optimistic about this. This isn't just me trying to be, I cover Penn State, so we're going to spin it good. You guys know that. I don't do that. I mean, that's why I was sitting here against Villanova, and I think I called that some effort BS on here. And everybody's like, we won by 50, and we saw what happened. So I'm not just going to sugarcoat it. I truly believe of everybody I've talked to and met, and like I said, we're going to be having a lot of stuff on the channel in the coming weeks and months of sitting down with a lot of new faces here on the Penn State football team. But I think we're in a good place with how Matt Campbell is building this thing up. Oh man, we're already talking about Jay and LeVar, and how did this chat go south so quickly? Oh man. I'm trying to think, what else do we have this week? I think that's pretty much it. We'll have Jesse tomorrow, and then we might have one more video out for you guys. We're going to get Tyler Donahue back in the car soon. My man is on a trip to Florida, but we will be having him ride around giving us updates. We'll talk some recruiting stuff with him in the near future. We got a caller.
This chat goes south.
What is your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, man. I'm trying to think.
My man, what is your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello?
Hello. How are you doing?
Hey, it's Sid from State College. I'm just calling to ask, there's the 3 games, USC, Michigan, and Washington. But besides those 3, what is one game that you're going to keep your eye on, or one game that you would watch closely?
Oh, man, this is a really bad schedule, I'll be honest. No, listen, okay, all right, at Maryland week 13. Let's just label that just a slight trap in the sense of they've got a good quarterback now. I still don't think they're going to be very good. But you had a quarterback that was pretty much a star in his freshman year. He comes back for Maryland. And so you're at Maryland, and generally we have performed pretty well at Maryland, if you want me to be honest, and that's somewhere that a lot of guys, because we had a lot of guys from the DMV region on, so we would always take it serious when we go back there. I don't know. I think it's at Maryland. I think that's the one I am circling. Oh, you gotta love this chat. It's Minnesota. It's always Minnesota. It's always PJ Fleck trying to ruin a season. Yeah, if we get through and we're 11-1, I'm nervous for all the Minnesota, the Maryland, all of it. I'll tell you what. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that just about wraps up tonight. I just want to hop on here, talk a little bit about the schedule, the expectations for Penn State, which we have already set clearly at, I don't know, if we're talking, that's how someone said floor 9 wins. I'll say floor, I need at least 8 wins here, and that's still, you're not very satisfied. But it's hard looking at the schedule. I think you see a 10-2 squad here, and maybe that relieves room to go to split USC Michigan and drop one other one, because you are a team that's, you're kind of putting it all together. But nonetheless, I think this is going to be a good squad for year one, a very favorable schedule, and I think Matt Campbell is going to start off pretty well, starting with Marshall at home. Cannot wait to be back in Beaver Stadium. Like I said, we will have a video with producer Jesse previewing the entire defensive depth chart out tomorrow, and then we will go from there. We got some cool stuff cooking up here on the Landon Tangwall Network, and then also we will have a ton of stuff over on the Tangwall Film Network. Do you think the State College Airport will have any impact on our travel to Washington? Yeah, we'll probably have to go to Harrisburg again. Hopefully we just don't hear about it. Hopefully, I don't think Matt Campbell's one to complain. I don't think he really cares. So if we have to take an hour-and-a-half drive to Harrisburg, so be it. But yeah, I expect. I don't think you can go to Washington from there. But I appreciate you guys tuning into this one. Please leave any questions you have in the comments below. I love hearing from you guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.